Hello, everybody. We've got a very interesting week in the books from last week, but let's look at some opening lines for this week's NFL games. Thursday night, we have the Arizona Cardinals playing at the St. Louis Rams. The Rams are coming off two shutout games, which is very unusual. I do believe there was a time when someone recently, within say the last 10 or 15 years, shut someone out 3 times in a row. I don't know, probably maybe 20, 25 years, but something like that. Maybe it was the Pittsburgh Steelers or something like that. Had a team like that that had a great defense. Well, the Rams are playing very physical ball. Jeff Fisher has them in the right mode. They didn't play the two best teams in the world the last couple of weeks. They shut out Oakland and Washington, which is not the upper echelon of the league. But Arizona is not a very they're not a very healthy team right now. That's number one. Losing Palmer was a big loss. Ellington's another loss, and they're not high-powered offensively anyway. So this is going to be an interesting game. Opened Rams 2.5 and 41. It's down to, well, I should say it's up to 3.5 and 39.5. So the money is rolling in on the home team. And we move on to Sunday, Oakland at Kansas City. Oakland's coming off their second win. They beat San Francisco, who's totally fallen apart. And they're playing Kansas City, who I think now, I'm not sure they've lost 3 games in a row. Oakland had beaten Kansas City a few weeks ago in Oakland. Big rivalry between these two clubs. Kansas City opened 12 down to 10. The total is 41.5. Jacksonville at Baltimore. Baltimore played very well in the second half against Miami last week and came out with a very big win. That was very important for them. Baltimore opened 13.5. It's 14. Went 45.5 to 44.5. Hard to know what you're going to get out of a team like Jacksonville. You know Baltimore is playing for the playoffs. I didn't mention it in the first game, but Kansas City is playing for the playoffs. And on the Thursday night game, Arizona is definitely playing for the playoffs, or the Rams aren't. The thing about these teams like the Rams, Oakland, and Jacksonville, they may not have a chance for the playoffs, but they do have jobs to concern themselves with, and the coaches as well will try to protect their jobs and play for next year so that they're on the roster and they're not bagging groceries in a grocery store. They're still playing football, which is what they have dreamt about doing their whole lives. But anyway, that's the first 3 games. Then we got Pittsburgh going to Atlanta. We just saw Atlanta last night put up a ton of points in the second half against Green Bay. I think Green Bay took their foot off the pedal a little bit, and their defense sagged. But Atlanta has a lot of weapons, and they can score a lot of points on anyone if those weapons are healthy. Matty Ice is a pretty good quarterback. Julio Jones is absolutely incredible as a wide receiver. Pittsburgh opens, and they still are 3 and 54.5 at the moment. They're going to be playing indoors, so you're not going to have to deal with weather issues as you will with a lot of games these days. But Pittsburgh's coming off that big win against Cincinnati. That's a division game. And now this is non-division, road, non-conference. Atlanta is in the hunt with Carolina and the Saints. Of course, and I'll report on this now. I'll just mention Cam Newton was involved in a car accident, and we don't know the condition for going forward with him this week or even into the future. Let's hope it wasn't serious. So we're moving to the next game, which is a big division game between Houston and Indianapolis. Houston has an outside shot. But they have to beat the Colts, obviously. And the Colts are pretty tough at home, and they have been extremely tough against AFC South teams over the years. I will say Houston is playing much better. They got Foster back, and Fitzpatrick is playing better. But over the years, Houston's been a little marginal. They've not done well against the Colts. And Fitzpatrick has been a marginal quarterback. Now, granted, he had 6 touchdowns a couple of weeks ago. They did win again last week, so they're on a little bit of a roll. Indianapolis opens 6.5, 50. It's down to 49. Cincinnati goes to Cleveland. The news here, of course, is that the head coach of Cincinnati Bengals called Johnny Manziel a midget. So I guess we could call it the Midget Bowl, but I'm not going to say that. He said that. I'm just repeating it. Cincinnati opened 2.5. It's down to pick, and I think we're going to see some line movement here based on the fact that Manziel has been named the starting quarterback, and rightfully so. Hoyer has fallen apart lately. 1 touchdown, 8 interceptions. I've been a supporter of Hoyer, but I have to say he has not played well lately, and it's time to look at Johnny Manziel. I still feel that Manziel's a little bit too small for the NFL, especially to play that running quarterback style that he has. I feel he's going to get hit a lot, and he's ultimately, when you get hit a lot by these guys, you don't last. And I hope that's not the case, but that's been the profile for players like him in the past. That's a big game right there. And the last time Cincinnati played Cleveland, Andy Dalton had the worst quarterback rating. I think it was like 4.0 or something like that. It was ridiculous. He played horrible. So you know that he's going to be focused. Both teams will be focused. And the world will be watching how Johnny Manziel plays. Miami goes to New England. New England, of course, right now in the AFC looks to be the best team in the AFC. Now, I say that for a couple reasons, and I'll get into it when I talk a little bit about Denver later, because they would be considered by a lot of people as the best team in the AFC. I disagree. New England is 8, and they're still 8. Open 49 down to 47.5. You never know about the weather in New England this time of year when it comes to Sunday. It's too early in the week to talk about that, but Miami's coming off a pretty bad loss to the Ravens last week. They needed that game badly. They had the home field. They played pretty well in the first half. Just fell apart at the end. I think this pushes Miami into the pretender rather than contender category. It's going to be tough for them to bounce back. They did beat New England earlier in the year, so that's a bit of a revenge situation for the Pats. And as we all know, Pats can be tough at home, or anywhere for that matter. Tampa Bay goes to Carolina, but with Cam Newton in the car accident, the line was 5.5, went to 6, 43.5 to 43, but now it's off the board at the moment because we don't know his condition or whether he'll be able to play at all. Let's hope he can, and he bounces back quickly. They do have Derek Anderson as a backup, and he's very capable, especially for a game or two. A lot of experience. He is a pro. And Tampa Bay, they play pretty well. They make a lot of mistakes, though, turn the ball over. And there's always something they do that's just totally out to lunch somewhere, and they give it up and don't win, don't cover. But they have covered quite a few, so getting too many points, it's a little bit dangerous. Washington, which is an absolute mess, looks like they're going back to RG3 based on Colt McCoy being hurt. That could change. The Giants are at home. They're 6.5 or 7, just moved to 7, 47 to 46. The Giants, I think, want to finish their season off on a positive note. It's been a tough year for them. Lots of injuries. Washington, of course, I think they have a lot of internal issues, clubhouse issues, coaching issues. I think the owner is an interfering owner, the same as what we have in Cleveland. And I could explain that, but I won't at this time. But I think that Washington is probably totally unfocused. It is a division rivalry, so you never know what you might get there. But the Giants played pretty well last week. That could continue. Green Bay goes to Buffalo. Green Bay can put up a lot of points. They did it last night, and then they took the foot off off the gas, and Atlanta caught up, covered the spread total, went way over. But they're at Buffalo this week, 5 points favored, and 50 is the total. Minnesota goes to Detroit. Minnesota won in overtime and covered most lines in the overtime. Those are very fortunate for their backers. They're going to Detroit. Detroit opened 7.5 up to 8. Total 44, down to 42. The Jets go to Tennessee. Tennessee's probably the worst team in football. I think they've given up on the season, on the coach, on the quarterbacks. The Jets, they're still trying. They don't really have a franchise quarterback, in my opinion. They need to find somebody that can carry this team. The coaching staff is in disarray. I think they lose Harvin to an injury. I don't know that it matters against Tennessee because I really don't see Tennessee putting up an effort. If I'm right, the Jets will win this game. Jets opened 1, went up to 2. The total is 42. The Jets seem to want to continue to play. Titans, I can't say the same. Denver goes to San Diego. I see some slippage by Peyton Manning, but I don't know if it'll show up here because the weather in San Diego is good. Their running game is solid. Their defense is solid. San Diego's injuries, they're on their 5th center, and I think that's showing up. Rivers is good. They got some good players. I don't know that they can last with the injuries that they have. San Francisco goes to Seattle. This is another front office fiasco. They've ruined this team with the controversy with Harbaugh. They should have fired Harbaugh and gone on with someone else if they weren't going to support the guy. Harbaugh's a great coach, and someone's going to get a very good coach in the offseason when they sign him. Seattle opened 8.5, went up to 10, 48 and down to 37.5. 38s are still out there too. Seattle's back. Their offense is not that great. They're deficient on offense, but their defense is playing just like it did last year. They demolished the Eagles last week. The game was not as close as the final score. Dallas goes to Philly. This is a big revenge game from Turkey Day. I was down in Dallas and watched that game, and it was absolutely a fiasco. Dallas did not play well. This is a camouflage team. They're running DeMarco Murray a lot, and most experts say too much. They don't seem to have the wherewithal in the coaching staff to change that up, mix that up. Yeah, their defense is off the field a lot because they're running the ball a lot, controlling the clock. All great, as long as he can stay healthy and keep producing. Philadelphia runs that up-tempo. It worked very well. The first 2 possessions they had in Dallas on Thanksgiving, 80 yards, 88 yards, 14-0 before you could even start. Philly opens 3.5 here. It's down to 3, and the 55 is the total staying put. It is a revenge spot for Dallas. I don't know. They have played very well on the road this year, so I have to give them that. Have not played that well at home. Philadelphia's coming off the Seattle loss. Dallas is coming off the Chicago Bear win. Tough game to handicap. The Saints on the Bears. They're at the Bears. That's on Monday night. Saints are 3 and 54. That's a long way off. We have to check the weather. That could make a big difference. I don't know what's going on with the Saints. I have no idea. They beat Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago to go home and get absolutely demolished by Carolina. I haven't the slightest idea what's happening with the Saints. The Bears are just in disarray. Even Brandon Marshall, if the quote is right, he came out and said, talking about Cutler, it would be I'd have buyer's remorse. In other words, sorry I ever signed the guy. That's what I'm reading. I don't know. It's not coming from me. I'm the messenger. So that's it for this coming week. I'm going to do another video recapping last week's stuff. If there's anything pertinent, I will bring it up. And we had a great week. I think my overall NFL for the week was 9-4. We had some really big plays, great wins, and we're zeroing in. I'm over 60% in the Hilton contest. However, if you're not over 80%, you're not on the front line. That's been incredible handicapping. tool. Go to my website, jimfeist.com, and check out the Hilton stuff and the Fast Facts. And we have some great specials going on. I think you can get the discount on purchasing picks, discount price where we give $1,000 worth of credits away for a smaller number. Make sure you check it out.